Hey everyone, I'm Breanna from Boom, and welcome to Boom Chat. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Loïc Locatelli, the amazing cartoonist behind Flavor Girls. Naoko, Camille, and V are the sacred fruit guardians of Earth, aka the Flavor Girls. They defend the mother tree, the source of their power, from the threat of ever-looming aliens who landed 12 years ago and whose motives regarding the planet are yet unknown. Sara is a young woman who gets caught up in an alien attack and, in the midst of battle, is chosen by the Mother Tree as the newest Flavor Girl with a sacred duty to defend the Earth and all of its inhabitants. There's just one problem. She's never fought an alien in her life and she has no clue what she's doing. Can she figure out her powers and her place on the team in time to help save the world? Loïc. Okay, so this comic, first of all, so insanely beautiful. I'm so in love with this world that you've created. Oh my gosh, it's gorgeous. What were some of your inspirations when you were creating the world and the characters and the architecture of this story?
In my mind, Flavor Girls has always been a kind of a mixed bag of all the references of pop culture I got from the 80s and 90s, all that irrigates my work. And I really wanted to make a kind of Evangelion kind of comic book, but with magical girls and a more funny tones at some point. So yes, I think if you've been born or if you're a fan of the 90s and all what manga as an anime could have bring you, I mean, I guess you can get all the references in Flavor Girls, and it was to bring back all these kind of atmospheres to the reader. I wanted to do this kind of thing. As myself, as a reader, love this kind of stories, so I wanted to involve myself in the magical girl genre, if I can say.
Well, you have absolutely done it and succeeded, because I want to see costumes and cosplays, and literally it just gives me Sailor Moon vibes, but way cuter, and just they're so adorable, and just some of the frames of the art that you've done are just so telling of the anime style. It's so beautiful and fun, and I cannot wait for people to finish the story and get that last issue. So my next question is, I'd really like to know, when you were creating the characters for this world, there's so much heart and artistry that goes into fleshing them out, and they have such distinct personalities and motivations and trauma and talent, and they're all quirky. What was it like for you, and what went into that process when it came to your character designs, and when you decided which fruit each character was? How did you decide which one went with what?
So I started to do concept art for Flavor Girls in 2012 or something. So it was a long time ago, and
wow.
Along the years, maybe in 3 years until 2015, I created a lot. Mm-hmm. And way later, when I had the idea of really making a comic book revolving around these characters, I had to choose 4 or 5 only that would be the main characters. And these 4 or 5 needed to have totally different backstory, totally different way of thinking, way of acting. Mm-hmm. So I had to drop a lot of fruits I like myself, like banana and stuff like this, and only focus on 4 different ones that would, the fruit or vegetable they represent should match their personalities. So for example, for V is an artichoke, because the artichoke, for me, it's my image of the artichoke. It's literally building a wall around its own heart, you know. The artichoke is protecting its heart by itself. So, and V is this kind of character. She doesn't let people touch her and affect her in any way. So she's building this wall around her. So the artichoke seems perfect as a way to protect herself, and as a vegetable. Is it a vegetable? I don't know, but the thing I chose, the natural thing I chose for her. For Naoko, it's a bit different. Naoko and Himiko, they go together. They are inspired by a character in Saint Seiya. Saint Seiya is an old manga from the 80s. And Naoko and Himiko are inspired by Shiryu and Doko. There are two characters from this manga. Basically, Shiryu is the knight of the dragon. So Naoko is obviously the guardian dragon fruit. She has the same color of outfit as Shiryu, and Himiko has the same appearance. She's the female version of Doko. She lives in the same kind of place, Chinese mountains with old temples and stuff like this. So these two characters are really inspired by Senseiya. So it was easy to choose their characters and the fruit for Naoko. For Sara, maybe it's just my image of the pineapple, but for Sara, for me, pineapple is kind of something fresh, something a bit sweet, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And we have a word in French. I will try to translate it in English the best I can. So the word is acidulé. So it's maybe in English, it's maybe tangy or tart. I don't know, something that is, you know, when it's like candy, you know, you eat it and it's sweet, and in the same time, it's a bit annoying.
It's a little acidic. It's like acidity.
Yes. You're like, So it's Sara for me. She's sweet and annoying in the same time.
I love that. Oh my God. And it's so perfect for her.
For Camille is the pomegranate guardian. Pomegranate, I don't know if you know, but it's my trivia stuff, but pomegranate means pomegrenade. It's the grenade apple. In French, we call it grenade. So it's literally a grenade, you know. And Camille is herself kind of explosive cocktail, so I thought it could suit her well. And we also have an expression in French called avoir un grain. It means to have a seed. It means you're a bit, I don't know how to say, frantic. You're a bit crazy, you know. And Camille can be this way, so that's why I chose pomegranate for representing her.
I love all of that, and thank you for teaching me about how do I say it? The acidulé. Did I do
acidulé?
That right?
Yes. Oh, you got it. Yeah.
I did it. Okay, great, amazing. I learned a new thing. Amazing. Okay, so you did the drawings, but we've got to talk about the colors in Flavor Girls. So your lovely colorist, Angel de Santiago, did such a fantastic job with this series. The colors complement your art in just such an incredible way. Yeah. So the first time, tell us about the first time you saw the colors. What was your reaction like when you saw them for the first time?
So at first I saw Angel's work, personal work, you know, I mean, Daphne and Allison, my publishers, they came to me with Angel's work. They said, okay, we thought about this person for coloring Flavor Girls. What do you think about him? And I was like, it's crazy beautiful. I was in love with the art style from day one. I was like, okay, this is this person, please contact him immediately. I want this person to work on Flavor Girls. And when Angel accepted the request, I was like super happy. But I was also a bit nervous. You know, I mean, you could be a great artist and still sometimes it's difficult to adapt to someone else's work, you know. So I was like, okay, let's wait for the first pages to come and I will see if I have something to say, if it's good or not. And I received the first batch of maybe 10 pages and it was amazing. I was like, okay, it will be okay. It was better than I could do myself, to be honest. So I was really, really happy. I mean, I'm a kind of a control freak person. So I thought, okay, I will have so many retakes to ask Angel. And I didn't have to ask any retakes because Angel is not only a good colorist and artist, but he is also learning super fast. So I think he checked also my illustration and he thought, okay, he's doing sometimes this kind of stuff and he could adapt to my style and it was perfect. I really recommend.
I love hearing about how people get together and to work on projects and it just is always like kismet. It's like we find the perfect people to put together. So I always love getting to hear about people's reactions when they see the art for the first time.
He also helped me improving bits of the story at some point. And I really thank him for that.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Oh my gosh, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So I do recall back in 2017, we worked with you on Persephone, which was such an amazing project, and it was so beautiful. It was such a gorgeous retelling of a classic myth. And so even though these two stories are very different, was there anything that you learned from working on Persephone that influenced your work on Flavor Girls?
Yes. You always learn a lot by making a comic book. I mean, it takes a long time to make a comic book. I mean, at least for me, it takes me a long time from the starting line to the finish line. I mean, it's like you stay and you keep the same story and the same character and you live with them for like more than 1 year, or if it's a series, I mean, it could be 10 years, I don't know. So along the way, you learn a lot. You learn to draw new stuff, to arrange the story in a different way, different shapes, to rework everything. I mean, personally, in my personal history, I started Persephone when I was living in France, and I finished the comic book when I was already well installed in Japan. So yes, I learned a lot. And Persephone was my first step into some kind of fantasy or fantastical comic book approach of a genre. And it helped me realizing that I really wanted to go all in this kind of stories, you know. I mean, in France, maybe it's less the case right now, but in the previous years when I was living in France 10 years ago, there were a kind of ranking of what could be a noble kind of story or not, you know. For example, if you would create a comic book based on a dead novelist or something, it would be well received or acclaimed or something like this. But French people tends to look down a bit at superhero or kind of shonen stuff. It's not the case right now because people changed and the new generation is now my age, so maybe things have changed, but it was the case when I was living over there, and I always felt frustrated by this, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And Persephone helped me to realize I could do something fantastical, going deep into the fantasy genre and still have a fan base and people who would enjoy it. And so I said, okay, I really want to do something in the magical girl genre, and maybe people would dislike it. I don't care. It's the thing I want to do, and it helped me realize that.
I love that. Oh my gosh. I think that's super important, is to just say, I want to do it because it's important to me and it's something that I love. And look at what you've made. It's so like, these things are so gorgeous and beautiful, and like, you get to share your stories with people in the world, and now they're out there alive and living forever.
Yeah.
And I just think that's so wonderful. Oh, well, Loïc, all right, we've reached the end, for now at least, of Flavor Girls. And I would like to know, what have been some of your favorite moments to work on in the story?
As you say, it's the end for now. For me, I have still a lot of work to do. As for my favorite moments, you know, I love the beginning of the story when you learn to know the characters, how they think, when they are not so predictable, and still you can think, oh, okay, this is this kind of person, this kind of character and stuff. I really like to set all the things out, but I really prefer when we already know them and when you can play with your characters, put them in all kinds of situations, see how they will react, how Naoko will handle this situation and how Sara will not handle this situation. So the part I personally enjoy the most drawing and creating are the side stories and the middle of the story, you know. So for example, my favorite story in Flavor Girls is the house.
Yep.
Because I could just put, you know, it's a Flavor Girls in a haunted house, how they will react, what will happen to them, or you can go put, I don't know, Flavor Girls at the beach and stuff. You know, it's the kind of monster of the week kind of stories I was really enjoying in my old TV shows like The X-Files, like The Simpsons and stuff like this. And I'm really enjoying drawing this kind of stories myself.
Oh, that's so fun. I have to tell you, my favorite moment from Flavor Girls is when they decide to take the route to Siberia, and Sarah's going through the route,
Yeah.
and her face just looks so
Yeah.
terrified. And I think that was like one of my favorite moments in the story. So thank you for giving me that joy in the entire story, and the beautifulness and the magical girls that we can all aspire to be. And Loic, thank you for your time today, and it was so lovely chatting with you. And for those of you watching at home, be sure to pick up the final issue of Flavor Girls, available online and in stores now.